As the frenetic pace of the Egghead arc in One Piece reaches its climax, the Straw Hat Pirates must now direct all their efforts to escape the island with Vegapunk and his satellites and rush towards their recently revealed next destination, Elbaf. This proposition is easier said than done though, as the presence of Admiral Kizaru, CP0 Agent Rob Lucci, the Seraphim, and finally, one of the 5 elders in St. J. Garcia Saturn are more than effective obstacles to the crew's flight from Egghead Island. Regardless of how they make it out of Egghead Island alive, there is no doubt that Elbaf will have a large part to play in the remainder of the final saga of One Piece for individual crew members and the development of the narrative as a whole. It is here that Luffy might finally meet Shanks, Robin might reunite with Saul to learn about the Void Century, and Usopp might finally see his long-lost father Yasopp. Usopp in particular could have a very prominent role in Elbaf for a number of reasons, which stretch all the way back to the start of the Straw Hat Pirates' journey through the Grand Line, fulfilling his promise to Dory and Broggy. The seeds of the Straw Hat Pirates' visit to Elbaf were laid as early as the Little Garden arc of the Alabasta saga, when the crew encountered the giants Dory and Broggy, who were former captains of the giant warrior pirates that had been exiled to the island of Little Garden for a century. After a hunting dispute erupted between the pair, Dory and Broggy resolved to fight each other on a regular basis until one of them was defeated to resolve the dispute. Unfortunately, as they were equally matched in strength, there had been no such resolution for 100 years. On learning of the giants of Elbaf and their culture, Usopp, who at the time was just beginning his journey as a pirate, was thoroughly impressed by the valor and pride of the giants. Additionally, he was also quite enthralled by the power of the giants, who are considered one of the strongest races in the world of One Piece, teeming with extremely powerful warriors. Before departing the island, Usopp vowed to visit Elbaf and meet the giants, as he believed that they would be able to aid him in fulfilling his dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea, reuniting with his father. Another major reason for Usopp to visit Elbaf is the fact that the Red Hair Pirates, led by Shanks, were last seen defending the island against the advance of the Kid Pirates. The sniper of Shanks' crew is none other than Yasopp, the father of Usopp, who he has not seen since the death of his mother. Considering the fact that Luffy and Shanks might also finally reunite on Elbaf, another touching reunion is definitely on the cards if Usopp sets foot in the land of the giants, where more information about his past could finally come to light. This meeting has been alluded to numerous times, and the tension in its build-up is now reaching a point of no return, as the Straw Hat Pirates attempt to flee Egghead and seek refuge on Elbaf. If Usopp does finally meet his father, there are quite a few things that the pair would have to discuss, such as the reason why Yasopp had to leave his ailing wife and young son, or the journeys that both father and son have been on since becoming pirates. Most importantly, as a far more seasoned sniper who is one part of one of the strongest pirate crews in the New World, Yasopp will have quite a few things to teach his son, providing Usopp with a much-needed power-up to face even more powerful opponents in the story arcs to come, becoming a brave warrior of the sea. During most of the Wano Country arc, Usopp was extremely out of his depth when confronted by the more powerful officers of the Beast's pirates, who were all specialist fighters. Even as Robin, Jinbe, Sanji, Zoro, Chopper, Frankie, and Luffy all gained power-ups in Wano Country, Usopp was left struggling to catch up and contribute, lamenting that his lack of strength was hindering him from aiding his allies. Although he awakened his observation haki back in the Dressrosa arc, there has not been much development in his use of this ability. Moreover, now that the Straw Hat Pirates have been recognized as the crew of one of the 4 Emperors of the Sea, there is more pressure for him to improve his fighting capabilities to keep up with his stronger crewmates and take on mightier foes such as the Marine Admirals. Whether this comes as an enhancement of his sniping skills or a crash course in harnessing his haki to aid him in combat, Elbaf could finally give Usopp the share of the spotlight he deserves at this juncture in One Piece's storyline. Much like Sanji in Whole Cake Island, Usopp is due for a power-up and an exploration of his past to determine the next stage in the development of his character. Where One Piece seemingly missed an opportunity to explore Zoro's character in greater depth during Wano, there is now an even better chance for the sniper of the Straw Hat Pirates to come to terms with his past and lineage, as part of molding himself into the brave warrior of the sea Luffy he has always yearned to be. And in other news, One Piece Oda reveals why he made Rob Lucci a major villain. Rob Lucci is a major character in One Piece that fans are very familiar with. When it comes to the villains that Oda has created in the One Piece world, Lucci stands out as one of the very best ones. And even decades after the arc that he featured in, he's remembered as an incredible antagonist. Rob Lucci made his introduction in the Water 7 saga and was introduced on the island of Water 7 itself. Given that he is one of the very best antagonists in the entire series, a lot of the fans find it interesting to know Oda's thought process behind making him as big a villain as he was. Luckily, Oda has already revealed his reasoning to the fans, and it is certainly very intriguing. Rob Lucci's role in the Water 7 saga. The Water 7 saga of One Piece immediately follows the Sky Island saga. After the Straw Hat Pirates' adventure in the Sky Islands, the crew returned to the Blue Sea, and the next place that they headed to was Long Island. From there onwards, it was all rather straightforward to Water 7. Water 7 is the island of shipbuilders, and quite a lot of the famous shipwrights in the world of One Piece live here. In fact, it would not be a stretch to say that the very best shipbuilders of the One Piece world are located on this island. This place is where pirates and marines alike buy new ships or get their vessels repaired. With the Going Merry having taken quite a lot of damage over time, this place was perfect for the Straw Hats to visit. This island would give them the perfect opportunity to repair her. However, little did they know that this island would test the integrity of the crew itself, with things such as Robin's disappearance and Usopp and Luffy breaking into a fight. The crew was the weakest ever since its creation. As the story went on, CP9, a secret intelligence agency of the world government, was then introduced to the fans, and it was soon revealed that one of the shipbuilders, Rob Lucci, was the leader of this group and had successfully infiltrated the shipbuilders company, Galley Law, years ago. Lucci served as an incredible villain for the entire saga and the main antagonist for Luffy to take on. Oda's plan for Water 7. When speaking of the Water 7 arc and his plan for it, Oda has gone into great detail as to what his plan was when crafting this arc. According to Oda himself, Water 7 was the arcade for the Straw Hat Pirates to get a shipwright for their crew, as well as to say farewell to the Going Merry. Before writing the Water 7 saga, these were the only two events that Oda had predetermined. Regardless of whatever happened in this arc, these two were key objectives for him to fulfill, and everything else was completely unplanned for him. In his mind, at the end of the arc, Frankie would join the Straw Hat Pirates, and, at the same time, Luffy and the crew would say goodbye to the Merry as she plummeted to her death. Everything else, including the introduction of the CP9, Robin being taken to Eni's lobby, and all the other major events in this particular saga were not planned by Oda beforehand. Oftentimes, a writer often plants some seeds and observes how they grow, and takes the story from there accordingly. Oda did something similar with the Water 7 saga, and it is safe to say that this arc turned out to be absolutely phenomenal. Even years after the conclusion of this saga, it is widely believed by many to be the best that One Piece has ever produced. At the very least, it is held in very high regard among all the fans. Every major event, from Usopp leaving the crew to Robin being rescued, the villains being introduced, and the farewell of the Going Merry, was absolutely phenomenally written. Why Rob Lucci was made a major villain. Rob Lucci, in particular, is one major character that fans were introduced to at the very beginning of the Water 7 saga. During the time of his introduction, he was revealed to be a shipwright of the Galley Law Company. He worked directly under Iceberg and, just like all the other shipwrights in this company, he was absolutely phenomenal at what he did. To showcase the depth of the world of One Piece properly, Oda made the Galley Law Company as realistic as he possibly could, giving it quite a number of shipwrights and, at the same time, even minor characters who would appear here and there across the arc. With the world building for this arc having been completed, it was time for Oda to decide who would be the villain of the arc. While many fans might assume that Oda had already decided on Rob Lucci being the main villain, that couldn't be further from the truth. According to Oda himself, He had not decided on who the villain would be before starting this arc. However, after he crafted all the characters, he wondered as to who the villain should be. He ended up choosing Rob Lucci because, according to him, he looked like a weird guy with a pigeon. That's the only reason why Oda went with Lucci as a villain, and it is perfectly fitting with his personality. While one would assume that Oda had some major reason for making Lucci a villain, it was as simple as him being a weird guy with a talking pigeon on his shoulder, named Hattori. This information was revealed in One Piece Log 22, Lucci's role in the future. Of course, even Oda probably did not know that Lucci would go on to become one of the most popular characters in One Piece. Not only did he raise the tension in the Water 7 arc through the roof, especially during the night when the truth about Iceberg's assassination was revealed, but at the same time, he also kept the fans on the edge of their seats during the Enies Lobby arc. Lucci gave Luffy one of the toughest fights that he has ever fought in his life. Not just that, but his entire personality, including his sense of justice, which Oda calls dark justice, made him a phenomenal villain. Essentially, Lucci only enjoyed killing in life, and if serving the world government gave him an excuse to wipe out those whom he considered trash, then he would gladly follow those above him. Lucci's role in One Piece did not end with the Water 7 saga. In fact, he is a recurring villain in the series. After the time skip, it is revealed to the fans that Lucci was promoted to CP0, the strongest intelligence agency within the world government. Lucci made his reintroduction in Dressrosa, and currently, in the Egghead Island arc, he is a major character. Once again, Lucci is a villain for the Straw Hat Pirates to deal with. This time, however, it is Zoro who is fighting against him, and fans will surely get to see his character take interesting twists and turns as the Egghead arc continues. That's a wrap for this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing videos very soon.